Welcome to Intuitive Seek. My name is Mary Train, and as an intuitive guide, energy healer, and meditation teacher, I aim to bring you a grounded approach to all things energy and intuition. Everything I share is with the hope to help you remember how your unique power of intuition is your own greatest teacher. Hello and welcome. Welcome to your Intuitive Week, your energy update for the week of May 25th. We are in the last week of May, moving into June already. The next episode will be the June energy impressions, but this week ends with a beautiful blue moon, the second full moon of the month, end capping this very deeply shifting, full of opportunities to surrender month that we have had. And this week is no different. So, yes, before we dive into it, I did want to share that in June, I do have one space still available for my 4-month one-on-one journey called The Key. And if you go to the show notes, you'll see all the information that you need there to connect with me. And this is in the words of so many testimonials, a life-changing journey. This is a journey where you get to discover and develop and witness your own transformation back into yourself. It's a reclamation, coming home to you and remembering all of the ways that this beautiful, unique purpose of yours is wanting to be expressed. And by using intuitive guidance, reading, and energy healing, we move through, clear away, or reclaim what is in the way, what was waiting for you to remember or release so that you can truly take those steps, do those things, be the one. So if you're feeling curious, if you have been over the last while as I've spoken about this, reach out. I would love to connect with you and see if it's a good fit. And the beautiful nature of this is each space does get filled with the person it's meant for. So I really trust in the timing of it. So if you are feeling the pull, reach out, and I really look forward to connecting. And now, before we dive in fully to the energy update, welcome if you are new, and welcome back to anyone who has listened before. With these energy updates, what I do is using all of my inner senses and intuitive abilities, I go into a really nice meditation with the intention to receive insight, guidance, symbolism, anything that I can translate through my intuition for us, for you and I, to move through the week ahead with more clarity and with more intention. So, the most important thing about these is using them as a way to develop your own intuition, not only how it works, but how you trust it. So, if something resonates, trust that. If something doesn't resonate, trust that too. Both are equally important. And let's get into it. So, when I first opened up the meditation, we are on the beach. We're on the shore next to the water. And if you've listened the last few weeks, we're in the same place. And this happens sometimes where we are still in the same environment, but things are shifting. So we're still on the beach, we're still on the shore, we're on that liminal space, but in a very different scenario. You and I, the figure in the meditation that represents us, we are in a giant shell, like a giant oyster shell, and it's open wide. not closed at all, like really fully open. And we're stretching. We're sitting, but like kind of lifted up and stretching, reaching out. So reaching our arms out of the shell, and they're like extra, extra long. We're reaching onto the shore, into the sand, and there was a huge pearl that we were sitting on that was underneath us, that was revealed. And just like how the shore is in a liminal space, so half water, half sand, ground, the sky was also half and half. Half bright sunny day and half twinkling stars with a shining moon, with both luminaries fully out this week, shining on us as we're stretching out of the shell. We're not fully out. We're not completely out, but we're emerging. We're reaching. And this pearl, this gift, this beauty, this abundance is revealed as we are moving out of it. And I also heard the word surprise. And if that creates some fear, because I know for me, that can create some fear where I'm bracing. What do you mean? What's the surprise? Not as much anymore, but definitely could have been my default for sure. Try your best, if you're like me, to focus on what a good surprise would be. You've endured enough to be prepared for any unwelcome surprises. So don't focus on that. Try your best to focus on what a great surprise could be. What could be surprising for you to experience this week? And maybe it is coming out of this shell of finding this gift that was there all along, but you didn't realize it had been built up and created. And I did hear another phrase, and it was, the gloves are off. And that was as the hands were stretching and reaching out. And this one felt different because it didn't feel like the frenzy of about to fight, like the gloves are off, let's fight. But because that is the kind of meaning of the phrase, it does feel like a reminder that for some of us, we might have a choice this week to fight. Maybe it's to stand up for yourself or for someone else. Maybe that's what's needed. Maybe that's what the surprise is. That there's a moment where you feel like, okay, that's it, the gloves are off, and you want to fight. But then maybe you choose peace instead. Or you take a moment and you consider what's happening from a wider perspective, and you choose a different choice. But really feel into what those mean to you. Because when the words come through, they tend to be a message for someone specifically. But let's focus on the whole imagery, everything that I just shared, because this really feels like we have an opportunity this week to come out of our shell. We are literally in a shell on the beach, and we're stretching under the day and the night, under this duality of the sky. And then as we're stretching and reaching and emerging, then this gift is revealed. The sky is day and night, that moment after the sun sets and the moon rises, and before the sun rises again. It feels like that this is showing us who we are. Yeah, how it is to be who we are after it all, after everything we've been through, after everything we've experienced, after all of the change and surrender of this month. Our arms are stretched out in a way that feels so determined and certain. And maybe the gloves are off, so to speak, can point to you're done playing nice or compromising or accommodating. and that you are ready to fight, but not in a physical, traditional way, but fighting for yourself and your dreams. And in a way, when we do that, we are also fighting for the world because we're not just going with the status quo. And the symbolism of the pearl. Pearls are only created when a substance gets created through the oyster, when there is some grit, something gets into the shell and irritates, and the oyster, from all of that irritation and that grit, an incredible, beautiful, valuable pearl is created. So this week, you may finally see what the trials you've been through have been creating underneath the surface, out of view. But this time where you've maybe been retreated, maybe a part of you has really retreated out of view to create this thing that you didn't even realize you were creating. And that now you don't need as much personal protection. You don't need to be in your shell as much. That it's time to recognize the cycles you've been moving through, the day to the night to the day, and that now maybe you're ready to reach for what's next, to trust that you can move through the shining sun and the lack of it. But it will take effort, and that effort will show you the pearl. And the effort feels good. It doesn't feel like pushing, it feels like a good stretch. And we've talked about this quite a few times this year about stretching, how we are stretching out of our familiar to reach the spaces and places that are inviting our souls to experience. The stretch this time feels like we've been preparing for it. And this week, your body, your physical body, could be craving that kind of stretch, a reconnection to your physical body, your breath, your movement, your muscles, your fascia. How small or big is up to you, but it does feel like it's a lot of energy mentally, maybe coming up, like a little too much mental energy, a little too much activity. So by stretching and moving and maybe even slower than usual, but still moving, that this will help you ground that excess energy to feel more embodied. And maybe that's the way that we won't miss the pearl that is being revealed. Because if we move too fast, we might totally miss it and just on to the next thing, reaching for. But from the way it came through in the meditation, moving slower, but trusting your way forward, how that extra protection of the shell has done its job. And now maybe we're ready to experience the strength of our energetic boundaries that we've cultivated in that shell. And what is that shell for you? What have you been shying away from or being out of sight from? What have you needed that shell for? And how are you feeling called to change it up, even if it feels better to hide way longer on the surface? If it feels like, oh, that's what I want, I don't want to come out yet. Is it actually what's best for you? And if you don't want to emerge, what's holding you back? What are you afraid of? Naming your fears this week, seeing how those fears are trying to protect you, that could be a great way for you to understand what shell you're being invited out of. And then remember, the pearl will be revealed. But without opening up that shell, without emerging from it, without recognizing that the shell is open, then you won't have access to that gift. And the next thing that came through in the meditation was a feeling, an overall feeling of being very itchy. And so we're stretching, we're moving, we have this beautiful gift, but then there's an itch. And it was such a strong sensation that it felt like, okay, this is a symbol for something this week, that something in your life maybe doesn't fit anymore, that it has outstayed its welcome and it has been with you too long that you are getting literally allergic to it. And this could be so many things. Trust what comes to you. It could be a habit, a belief, a project, a label. Actually, maybe that's what it is. Okay, maybe that's what it is. That could be for many of us, it could feel like a label because even a physical label in our clothes, those can often cause like an annoying, itchy discomfort. So maybe there's a non physical label that's causing the same discomfort, the same itch. So is there a label you've given yourself? One of those things of not to put words in your mind. So I'll give you an idea. It would be a label that you would use about yourself when you go, well, that's because I'm fill in the blank, or that's because I fill in the blank, or well, I'm a fill in the blank. So that's why you get the idea. So one of those labels that we felt so understood by and could have other people understand us through, that kind of self discovery, it can be incredibly enlightening getting all of those different labels. But sometimes all of that discovery, all of those labels that made us feel so seen at the beginning, so understood, they can actually start to cloud who we are, our true nature, and hold us back from natural change and shifts and evolution. So this week, you might want to lay down, finally put down, release, let go. We have the full moon. Great time to do it. Let go of a label or two that you really felt defined you, one that you felt defined you so well. And by releasing it, that will make the space for you, for who you really are now, for all of you, for the parts that maybe defy a description, the parts of you that maybe will always be misunderstood. But you understand them even if you can't put words to them. Those are the parts that need air this week. You might be surprised. Oh, maybe that's the surprise. You might be surprised at how you start to see yourself. You might stop looking for who you are and you might actually start being. Maybe that's the pearl. Maybe you are the pearl. Okay, right? So, yes, this week might be extra powerful. And before we get to the animal, we do, like I said, finish the week or the month with a full moon, both of them, the week and the month. And it's the second full moon in May, so it's a blue moon, and it's in the sign of Sagittarius. So let's get inspired by the themes of Sagittarius to know what we can be inspired to release and let go of and set intentions for. Now, Sagittarius is the energy of the archetype of the explorer, the philosopher, the adventurer. The philosopher explores the universe within, bringing knowledge and wisdom and expansion. It's ruled by Jupiter, major expansion. So, are you ready to reach out? Just like in the meditation, reach out, extend, emerge from the tiny space and into taking up all the space. Maybe the space you were afraid to step into. Maybe something that you labeled yourself not for. Maybe it wasn't for you. Maybe you let that go and you realize, oh, yeah, this is for me. Why not? We can be inspired by the Sagittarius symbol, which is the bow and arrow, which I feel perfectly represents manifesting our desires, like the truth of setting intentions, of just living, really, creating our lives every day. You set the intention, you set the goal, you set the idea, and then you know where you want it to go. You understand the mark, the target. You take the action by pulling the bow back, and then you release it. You let the arrow fly. We release, we surrender, we trust. We put the bow down. We don't grab another arrow. We put it all down. We open our hands. We make space to receive. And maybe it's time for you to do that again, but from a new place, this very embodied, anchored place. Can you release, let go of the limitations on what you believe is possible for you in your life? And then you release, you surrender how it's all going to work out. And I feel like this full moon is illuminating where maybe you haven't fully surrendered. Because remember, the theme for the month for May is surrender. So this is the second full moon, the blue moon, a second chance to set your intentions, to fully surrender, to let go of the how, to take your goals and intentions and dreams off of the pedestal and just focus on the clarity of your vision. And then let your co-creators, your unseen support, worry about how it all comes together. You focus on what your intuition says is the next step. That's how you can really take advantage of this energy for the week. And before we get into the animal again, I did want to share more about the pearl symbolism, even though pretty obvious and we did share already, but just in case this offers a bit more insight for you personally. So from pearlsource.com, what do pearls symbolize? At their core, pearls symbolize purity, wisdom, transformation, and love. The phrase pearls of wisdom captures how pearls are often seen as metaphors for valuable insights and knowledge, highlighting their symbolic significance. Their formation, which is when the oyster responds to an internal irritant by building a smooth, protective shell around it, mirrors human experiences of growth through adversity. This natural process gives pearls a distinct emotional and symbolic resonance. Pearls commonly represent wisdom gained over time, purity, love, loyalty, emotional balance and harmony, and resilience. And with the animal of the week, I feel like there's kind of two, because the oyster, that energy is kind of the animal inspiration that we're moving out of. We're moving out of this energy that the oyster represents. We're finally emerging. And the spiritual meaning of the oyster revolves around transformation, hidden wisdom, resilience, very similar to the pearl. So from the pearl and the oyster, this is the energy that we're kind of moving from. And then the animal that was waiting for us at the end of our hands was a new animal, one that we haven't had in the energy updates. And it's a bird, the kingfisher. And if you've never seen a kingfisher, look it up. The colors are incredible. The one that I saw in my meditation is the one I'm familiar with, which is the bright blue and then the bright orange on the chest. And it's a smaller bird for a shorebird, but still pretty substantial. And the energy is so beautiful and is so complementary, like completely lines up with everything I already shared and that full moon energy too. So as I share more about the kingfisher, really feel into how it resonates and it's inspiring you in your own life and what it can help you see, remember, and understand for this week ahead. The kingfisher represents the energy of adventure, freedom, overcoming fears, harmony, peace, new warmth, abundance, success, inspired action, love, and sacral and throat chakra healing. And I wanted to share this excerpt from Animal Speak by Ted Andrews, you guessed it. And this is what I felt called to share from the insight around the kingfisher. In Greek mythology, there is a legend of a woman by the name of Halcyon and her husband, Ceyx. Shortly after their wedding, Ceyx had to make a voyage. A storm arose during the voyage and Ceyx was drowned. Every day that he was gone, Halcyon walked the shores of the beaches. longing for her husband. After several months, the body of her husband washed ashore. Halcyon was so filled with grief that she threw herself into the ocean. The gods were moved by her love and grief, and she and her husband were turned into kingfishers. They rose out of the ocean and flew off happily into the blue skies. It was declared that the seas would be calm and the sun would shine for 7 days before and 7 days after the shortest day of the year. This time came to be known as the Halcyon days. Today, all sunlit days upon the water are considered halcyon days. The kingfisher is a beautiful bird. Blue is a color often associated with the planet Jupiter in astrology, the planet of abundance. The kingfisher is the promise of abundance, of new warmth, prosperity, and love about to unfold within your life. If kingfisher has come to you, prepare yourself to dive into something new. Have you been avoiding the new? Have you been afraid to take the plunge? Are you needing new warmth? Don't worry. If a kingfisher is around, you won't drown. In fact, you will find that as a result, you will have new sunshine and prosperity unfolding within your life. And I didn't know about the mythology around the kingfisher, and how incredible does that line up with the last few weeks of the energy updates, of moving and walking on the shore, of the storm of the ocean, the storm within, and then now we are having this new day. So I love the synchronicity of that and the depth of connection with Jupiter and the abundance and everything. I mean, there's so much to be excited about for this week. So, yeah, the month is not done. Do not jump into June yet. There is more to come. Did that all rhyme? If it did, I love it. Okay, so before we go, let's get into the writing prompts. These are the writing prompts, journal prompts to help you dive deeper into the energy. Answer one or none, really trust what resonates. So the first prompt or question, what shell are you moving out of this week? What metaphorical shell are you emerging from? And number two, where are you needing new warmth in your life? Where does that new warmth need to go? Number three, what gift is opening up, being revealed from your resilience? What is the pearl? And number four, what intentions can you set for the full moon and commit to tending for the next month or 6 months? Think of the themes of Sagittarius and then begin your intentions with, I am so grateful for finally releasing, and then write down what you are releasing so that you can, and then write down so that you can do, create, experience what you desire, those intentions that you want to bring to life and that you will reinforce on the new moon. And that brings us to the end of this episode and the last time I'll speak to you in May. The next episode will be on June 1st, all about the energy of June. I cannot wait to share. And yes, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I would love to hear if you resonated with any of the energy that I'm feeling that we're moving through, any thoughts or questions, anything you want to share. Please feel free to reach out. I love to hear from you. Go to the show notes. All the links are there to connect with me about this episode. And if you'd love to apply or connect for the key for the one spot available in June, you'll find everything in the show notes. Thank you so much again for listening. Be extra kind to yourself and others, and I will talk to you next week.
Mary. I just wanted to say something very, very meaningful.